So welcome everyone. Thank you for coming to this a session. My name is Mia Janae Watkins. I am now a community communication specialist at PlayStation, and my former role is community outreach specialist. I've been with the company for about 5 years now, and I'm looking forward to helping you all out today with whatever questions you may have.
And my name is Kira Shoemake, and I am Senior Manager Recruiting for Software Engineering with PlayStation. I am also very excited to speak with you. I've been with the company for about 6.5 years and in recruiting for about 20 years. So I'm really excited to chat with y'all and talk about your careers and what you're looking for and how we can assist.
Yeah, absolutely. So we hope you all have been having a great time at today's event. I think just sharing a little bit from my experience of how I got here in the gaming industry, I was able to do one of the internships for PlayStation. So I actually started off as a video editor, have a background and degree in film, and I worked my way up to the position I'm in today. So I was very thankful for the internship program and a couple of folks that helped me along the way get my foot in the door and help move up further within the industry.
And for me, after college, I kind of just fell into recruiting. I was actually working in a different path, actually as a wardrobe stylist assistant, and ended up going to a staffing agency just to get a temporary job, and ended up getting offered a job in recruiting. And so I worked at the staffing agency for a few years, which was really helpful, and learned the ins and outs of recruiting. And from there, went in-house to a company that I was with for about 10 years, and then came over to PlayStation, where I've been for 6.5 years. And so I realized that this room is business development. And while that might not be my specific background in recruiting, I've seen all sorts of different pathways to get to certain types of careers. And that's where my expertise lies and where I can add value in this conversation. Does anyone have any questions?
I think we have a request, I think, for video. I'm going to click a button. Hopefully it does what it needs to do. And I believe it's from Casimir. Please let me know if I'm saying your name correctly. All right. I don't know what I did. Oh, there we go.
Hi.
Hi.
Hey, hello.
Yeah, I just had a question. So I'm Cass, by the way. So yeah, I'm in my final year of undergrad, and I've recently made the switch from programming to wanting to get into a publishing producer role, mainly for XR titles. I know it's kind of specific, but that's kind of where my experience is right now. But the thing is, I've had one production internship, and the rest of my experience is in programming since I switched so late. And so I'm just wondering, because I know that a lot of production internships are actually kind of scarce and a little bit competitive. And I feel like, I need to have a resume that reflects what I want to do instead of like, oh, I've done programming. But, if a recruiter sees my resume, they're like, did she apply for the right thing? So I'm wondering how I can make it more tailored to what I want to do now and not the experience that I have that's a little bit unrelated. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So one of the things, I've heard, this question comes up, so don't worry. I think this is something that happens. You're in school and people decide to make career changes all the time. And one thing I want to point out is a lot of the times with a lot of companies for internships, you can still have an internship up to a year after graduating. You still qualify. And so you could, I know that you're going to graduate soon, but you could still apply for an internship in the area that you want to go. And another thing that I think is helpful is actually networking. And so let's say there's someone on LinkedIn who's in the career field or is a manager for a role that you're interested in, definitely reach out to them and say, hey, I don't have the traditional background, but here are some projects that I've done. Here's some experience that I've done, and just highlight what you've done that's transferable to that role. A lot of times, everything is about relationships. It really matters. And so, networking or even going to events for like this one or the specific field that you want to get in is helpful. Just meeting people, and that's always a plenty of times a foot in the door as well.
Yeah,
Awesome.
sorry, and to add on to that, if there are any like projects you can do outside of classes, outside of what programs you're in that you can add on to your resume, that'll be helpful as well. If there's a group of friends or colleagues you can get together, say, hey, like let's work on this project together. There's an organization. If there's a game jam that you can have access to, that might be beneficial to one, give you more of that know-how, but two, just give you more like projects under your belt that you can add to your portfolio.
A lot of times people just want to see that you've taken the initiative. So maybe you don't have the direct experience, but at least they see that you're trying to do the work on your own or that you're doing the work on your own. That always speaks volumes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And guys, feel free to ask anything. I think looks like there's a small group of us in here. So, we're here for you. Let's just chat, ask anything that you want to know. There's nothing off the table. We're even willing to help if you guys wanted to connect with us on, LinkedIn. I'm happy to also have offline one-on-one conversations, or at least put you in touch with somebody who's in that field who can within PlayStation.
So we have a question in the chat that says, any advice for business majors getting into the field? I think, there's a lot of like business like opportunities like within PlayStation. So I hope folks know that, or in gaming in general, that like, there's a whole plethora of disciplines that are available for folks to get into. Like for me, it was film and production. I once knew a business management intern. There was plenty of business management, I think, internships at the time, and I think there's still some now finance interns. So I definitely think, depending on what type of uh, specification of business that you want to go into, there might be definitely an opening for that. So I guess to answer your question, I would say whatever like you're working on, what you're doing, look at the like intern side or the career side and just see if there's anything that sort of aligns with what you're currently doing or what you want to do. Thank you so much for your question. Yeah, now, how important would you say degree entrepreneurship would be to be successful in this industry? I think in my experience, when it comes to sort of paving your whole way to the industry, and the people that I've met within PlayStation and other companies, everyone's journey is different, right? So sometimes, most of the time, there's not really a specific way to get to where you want to go. Sometimes it's a mix of who what you know how to do, any opportunities that you keep your eyes open out for or keep your ear to the ground for. Like for me, like not only was it doing extra work on top of the work I was doing to get noticed in front of a certain group of people within the company, it was also a colleague who knew me well. I was like, oh, hey, like, I think you might want to talk to these people that might be best for this fit, or just sort of uh, sometimes like I kind of say like some days I'm not really sure what I'm doing. I just know like in my gut like this is what I'm supposed to be doing. This is what I know feels right to me in terms of my journey and my path. Will this get me to where I want to go? We'll see. And, I not only have to have the know-how that what I'm going to do is going to get me to where I'm going to go, but the perseverance and determination that is going to get me there. So I would definitely say yes. But then again, I'm not sure how your journey is going to end up. It could be into entrepreneurship, but it could be a mix of so many other things. And I think that's the most exciting part about getting into the gaming industry.
And I would say from the recruiting perspective, the degree requirement is not always black and white. So even if your degree is a little bit different than what a job requirement might say is required for the role, as long as you're putting forth some type of effort, or like I mentioned, getting involved in related projects, whether that be in school, whether that be independently on your own, but as long as they can see that you're putting forth that effort, that along with networking, um, you know, again, don't just apply, reach out to the recruiter for the organization or the hiring manager, send them a note on LinkedIn and just introduce yourself and say, hey, I'm really interested in this position. I'm passionate about what you're doing. While I don't have the traditional background, these are the things that I've done. These are the projects that I've worked on. And that will typically pique their interest in you. And as long as you can get them open, having a conversation with you and getting to know who you are, that's really helpful. So it doesn't have to be black and white. I mean, in engineering, we've hired all sorts of folks that don't necessarily have those type of degrees, but they did take the initiative to get involved in those type of projects.
And so, real quick, Kira, we have someone that wants to join our video chat. So I will
Sure.
bring Tina to the stage. And please correct me if I say your name wrong.
No,
Hi,
you got it
Tina.
right. Hi, ladies.
Hello.
So hi. So I have a non-traditional background when it comes to tech. But over the years, I've been a part of like an open source community, and I've realized that my background just continues attracting me to the work, that we do. A lot of the event organizing, just meeting amazing people who work in tech and have different backgrounds, from like event planning, and selecting speakers and hosting events to working at conferences, kind of like a trade show type background, just to even playing around with code and learning how to, like build websites. I just realized I have such a love and a passion for it. And I enjoy gaming. I love virtual reality. I'm having so much fun with like my Oculus, and so I see that it's possible for me, to, find, like something, but I just don't know how to go about it. And I'm also, my background is in transportation, professionally, and I just don't even know how to translate that into like a resume or cover letter, even though it's clear that I do have skills that are transferable.
So I heard you mention a lot of really great skills.
There are a lot of them that I.
And what I would want you to hone in on is narrow down what it is that you really want to do.
Okay.
So I know that you're interested in a lot of things, but if there was maybe, one or two top things that you're interested in, what would those things be?
So I get so much joy from the educational component. I love teaching what I know. And I love learning so that I can teach more. And so I do a lot of training on the skills that I do have within open source. And I speak to, just based on, I've been a speaker based on what I know and how I've applied it. And so I would love to do anything along the lines of learning and teaching. Um, and also I would love something along the lines of like event organizing around like trade shows and presenting like products and stuff like to the public. So I feel like those are currently the most transferable skills that I have.
Okay. Um, so I'm going to be honest, Winstina, just to let you know that my background isn't engineering, but Mia and I both have very strong relationships with our events manager at PlayStation.
Hmm.
She's actually one of our Black at PlayStation leads, and so I would love to even connect with you and get your information and
That would be phenomenal.
schedule, have you connect with her and have a conversation with her. And I think that she could really provide you with a lot of good information towards the event planning lane. And then
Thank you.
you also mentioned um, teaching, teaching about what you've learned on open source. So when you say teaching, do you mean, are you teaching within a company? Are you teaching, who's your audience that you're teaching?
So I'm part of a meetup community that like we host events and speakers to teach them about like open source software, which is like WordPress, just the CMS platform. And so I've developed the skills over time, like building websites, marketing, and I've spoken at our national conferences. And I've applied what I know professionally um, to just the entire industry. And so I do a lot of trainings and teachings, and there are people who attend and stuff. So it's something that like that I've learned. And so I know that I have the ability to learn, to join a company, learn the product and teach and train, like to 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 teach like potential customers about the product, or even to like to train folks on becoming acclimated to it. I've realized over time I just have that skill.
I'm I'm thinking. Okay. Um, so I think so one of the one of the laws of manifestation. I'm going to go there. Is you
Okay.
have to get clear on exactly what it is that you want to do
Hmm.
and write all of those things down. Um, as far as so teaching what you learned at the open source events, that's great. I'm trying to think like, how does that translate into a role within a corporate company? Um,
Yeah.
so that's where I just need I need to noodle on this for a few minutes, but um,
Within the space they have, and within the industry they have something called like happiness like positions, um where companies have the products and they have customers that reach out with questions. And so they hire folks who can like answer questions, like the customer service component of it, walking folks through like problem solving while something isn't, like why something isn't working. I have those skills, and
I've seen
I'm
that. I've seen that titled as customer success.
okay,
So
customer success.
yeah, so for us, for example, there's different vendors for different tools that we use, and we'll have questions, and they
Okay.
provide trainings for us on the different tools. Um,
Hmm.
I would definitely even recommend that you look at, go on Indeed.com and look at the job descriptions for customer success and just see what qualifications they're specifically looooking for. And
Yeah,
and
that's
I
the
say that just
challenge.
yeah, and I just say that just so that you have an overview of what they're looking for when they're hiring. Um, but again, this is where I'm saying like the whole, LinkedIn thing. Like if you can get, even if you talk to a customer success manager, like reach out to somebody like, hey, I'm really interested in this career field. Do you mind,
Mhm.
have like a conversation, a phone conversation where I could just learn a little bit more about um, what it is that you do, what it is you do, and
Mhm.
when you're hiring the skills, what is it that you're looking for?
Mhm.
I think when there's someone who's in a role where you want to be, they can really give you a lot of insight into career pathing to get to that role.
Okay. Yeah. Um, so, and I also I don't want to dominate this at all.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I don't. We have some time here, and I think it's perfectly fine. So don't feel that way. And if
Okay.
you feel that way, please, I would love to get in touch with you. Like I said, I want to get you, um, at least, get you into a conversation with Laisha, who's our events manager, who can talk to you about that as well, and who
That
can
would be
maybe
that would be
specifics.
phenomenal. Thank you. That
We're
would
here to
be
help, so I don't want anyone to feel, don't feel shy. Let's talk about it because I think a lot of times when we have questions, everyone
mhm.
in the audience has the same questions, and so we all just learn from speaking with each other.
Okay. 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 So I've seen a lot of questions about when you're in a different field and just like making that pivot. So I'm in an industry that I'm not gonna lie, I love it.
That's great.
and and I'm developing skills and I'm becoming better at it. It's just that it's like as I've gotten older and the more I've done and just exploring the things that I do for free, like on my free time, like personal time, and I've just come to realize I have like an affinity for the field and just a desire to like work in it and to grow. And the thing about gaming and technology is that it evolves so quickly. Um, and I love the ability to constantly change, to learn new things, to be doing something different tomorrow or a week from now. And so I love that. And because I have an affinity for the field, I feel like there's a part of me that is missing the, doing, this type of like work and being in this field. And that's where I'm at.
That's okay. I think the path is not always black and white, and I think we are now in a new landscape where there's a lot of discussions about inclusion that are going on and
Okay.
pathways for people that don't have the typical background into role.
Hmm.
So you're right on time. Um,
Okay.
I
Thank
think
you.
yeah, no, you're good. I think it's just going to be a lot of not necessarily taking the traditional path for you. It's going to be a lot of networking and a lot of selling or marketing yourself for this is what I have done and really playing up those skills. You can even um, think about all the projects or things that you've been involved with outside of your regular role and have a completely separate resume or LinkedIn profile for that.
Okay. Okay.
So
I've
there's
never thought of creating something completely different. Thank you.
you're welcome. Are you on LinkedIn?
I am on LinkedIn.
Okay, I am going to send you a friend request
Thank
now,
you.
and then you and I can make some time to talk further. And I have some introductions that I would like to make for you.
That is so kind of you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Do you need my email? Should I drop it in?
Sure, yeah, please. I actually think I just found you though.
Okay, let me just make sure.
Marilyn,
Yeah, did you find me?
I sure did.
Yeah,
I actually need your email to connect.
Okay, I'm working in a completely, and I love my field. Don't get me wrong, I do. I went to school for it. It's just that I've just evolved and just, I just evolved, and I just love, and it's so different. I feel like if I had come across it, like if I I know that if when I was in high school, or middle school, if I'd been introduced to STEM and felt like I could be successful in it and that I would have a future in it, I would probably have taken a different path. I loved gaming when I was younger, but it was never there was never like a professional, like when your parents are like, are you studying? Like get off, you're like, get off that and go study. I feel like if I hadn't gotten, that type of feedback and I'd seen like just the possibilities in it, I probably would have explored it more and maybe even taken a different like path, but that, STEM was never something that I saw myself working in, especially, but I work with so many engineers and I've learned over time that engineering is more than just like calculations. It's conceptual as well. And, there's theory. And so you can master aspects of engineering and teach and train yourself. And it's not just like hard numbers. And I feel like if I had been like told that when I was much younger, I would be the engineer that I'm working with.
Visibility
And
is
not
so
working with
important.
the engineer. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was saying visibility is so important. And I think we're just over the past few years, we're getting to the point where you see a lot of tech companies doing outreach to kids or inviting kids to come on site and see the campus. And there's, now there's really great organizations like, Girls Who Code or Black Girls
Yeah.
Who Code. I know that NESB has summer programs for kids as well, but they didn't have. I mean, all of these companies, I would say, for the past, prior to the past 10 years, they didn't exist, and so kids didn't know that these careers. I mean, you hear about it, but it sounds so unobtainable. Like you hear, when I was a kid, all I heard was if you want, engineers, you have to be like really, amazing at math, and that wasn't me. So I didn't know that it was a possibility. But
exactly,
there's even coding boot camps now.
Yeah.
Where they're training people how to code. You don't necessarily have a CS degree anymore. They help you to find work and get placed. I know PlayStation's hired people from coding boot camps. So all across the board. That's why I always say like the path is not black and white.
Yeah.
It's not.
There's always going to be a mix of things, and some things were things you may know, some things that might be a great, surprise that might be in addition to like your journey. So it's all just, in my opinion, a matter of just taking that leap of faith and getting, as Kira mentioned, like getting your vision together, knowing like at least having an outline of what you want to do, whether it's a vision board, whether you're writing down your steps or your goals of what you want to achieve and accomplish, because that can really help you guide you, at least get you to where you want to go.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. I'll let other ladies.
All right. Thank you so much, Westina.
Thank you, Mia. Thank you, Kiara. Is that right?
Thanks, It was nice talking to you, and I will talk to you again.
It was a pleasure. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. We got Kaz. Kaz. Hit us with the question.
Hi. So I have questions for both of you actually, and I kind of feel bad asking this because for the longest time I've been told like just make up your mind, choose something to do. And I've finally been like, I want to be a publishing producer. But before that, I was like, just like a month or two ago, I was like, I want to be a community manager. Just before that, I want to be HR. And so it's like I actually want to know, starting with Kira, like what is it like doing what you do? Because I think the problem is like I wanted to do all these things, but I didn't have enough information about any of them to really know this is what I want to do. So could you tell
I'm
me a little
excited
bit?
to tell you, Cass.
Yeah.
Yes. So I am I'm actually a recruiting manager at PlayStation, and I'm so glad that you asked because I would love I would love more Black people to be in recruiting, to be quite honest. And so what we do is, and there's all sorts of recruiting, right? So we've got for PlayStation recruiters that recruit for the game studios. We've got recruiters that recruit for engineering, for finance, for project management, for any type of discipline that you can think of. We've got recruiters that just focus on interns and university hiring. And what will happen is we will work with hiring managers and meet with them, and they'll say that they're looking for whatever role with XYZ type of skills. And so traditionally, what we've done is we post the job. We use tools like LinkedIn, using different keywords. So whatever somebody has on their profile. So that's another little tidbit for everybody. If you put certain keywords on your profile that coincide with the job that you're looking for, you will come up in recruiter searches. But we'll look for, we review applicants, we look, use all sorts of different tools, and we'll reach out to folks to see if they're interested, interview them, submit them to the hiring manager, and then walk them through the interview process. And so what's really great about this right now is we've been, for the past couple of years, really focused on diversity recruiting as well, which many of us have already been diverse minded, but it's really a huge focus for companies right now. And so right now we get to have a lot of really fun conversations with hiring managers about like, hey, a lot of hiring managers will have like 10 job requirements on a job posting, and so now we're having these conversations saying, hey, do you really need all 10? What's your true requirement? Is it really 5 of these? What's a nice to have? And then really just trying to explain to them like, hey, not everybody, the same thing I've been saying this whole conversation, everyone's background, it's not black and white. So are you open to supporting someone that maybe has 75% of the qualifications? And so it's this, it's getting a lot more, it's always been fun. Like for me to be in corporate America, I've always just kind of wanted to be in recruiting, and that was it. But I think we're really getting to have a lot of really interesting conversations right now about who they're considering. Can they bring in someone that maybe doesn't have 100% of the qualifications, but maybe they have 75%, of really supporting that person and bringing them up within the organization? And a lot of managers are interested in that. We also attend different types of fairs. And so it might be like a technology-based fair or a fair that's specific for whatever discipline it is that you're recruiting for. So if you're recruiting for finance, for example, you would be at fairs or when I say fair, I mean there might be an MBA organization that's having a conference, and you go to that and you have a recruiting table there. So it's a lot of networking. There are people that, maybe I don't have something for them right now, but I keep in touch. So it's a lot of relationship building. And then you're competing with a whole bunch of other companies that are out there, because when someone's interviewing, they're not just talking to you. Most of the time, they're talking to different companies. And so really, trying to put a competitive offer together, and really, making it known within the organization, like I really need to make a competitive offer for this person, but really also looking out for the candidate. So I find it a lot of fun. I think it's a very rewarding career. I love building organizations. I'm based in our San Francisco office, and I love running around that office and knowing that I built this team and that team and that team. Um, so that's what I do. That's what I've been doing for about 20 years. And so now I'm a recruiting manager, and so I lead a team of recruiters. I actually have a contract recruiter position that's open right now, guys. I'm willing to, consider someone that doesn't have the traditional background, and kind of teach them and get them trained. So
yeah, and forgive me, there's something in my eye, but that's why I keep doing this. But it's interesting because I have a mentor who, I consult about like my career path and stuff. And I told him like, I really am kind of interested in recruiting and interested in like HR because, and it's, I always thought it's kind of weird, but it's one thing I've always loved doing is like going online and looking at job descriptions and like looking just at jobs, even if I'm not applying to them. Like, I just find it really fascinating. And my mentor was like, if you're gonna do recruiting, you better know that you want to do it, because once you get in, you can't get out, or something like that. I'm like, oh, that's interesting.
I don't think that's true. I don't think that's true. First of all, I think it's a great career and it can be very lucrative. Another thing is, nothing's black and white. So I've been a recruiter for 20 years, but I do feel in my heart that if I wanted to switch, and let's say I wanted to become an engineer, I'm confident that I could go to one of those 12-week coding classes, and I'm not joking around. I'm serious, and I could become a software engineer. So I might be missing some of the fundamentals, but I think over time you pick some of those things up.
Right.
So I definitely feel that you can switch after a while, especially you guys are young. You guys are still in college.
Yeah, I had a feeling that wasn't like, the best advice.
I mean, maybe if you were, in one field for like 40 years, then it was just that it might be a little difficult to switch over. But you're so new in the game that I don't think that if you committed to one career and you didn't like it, that you'd be stuck there forever. I think you could definitely make a change. No one's stuck.
Yeah, and yeah, right. And then one more question about that is, you're a recruiting manager, but what are, just as a recruiter, what are some of the traits, I guess, soft and hard skills, I guess, that is necessary for that kind of role? Of course, you want to be a people person, you want to be able to talk to people. That's like the main thing. But
you want to be
organization, maybe.
Sure. So you want to be a people person, because you're spending a lot of your time talking to candidates, and so you're talking about the company and all the great things the company's doing, and really selling it to the candidates. The candidates really, kind of buying in and also getting excited and passionate about the company as well. But one of the things that I think is key is that you need to be a good listener. You're interviewing people, and you need to be able to ask someone all the questions that you need to know about their background, to be able to communicate those skill sets to the hiring manager. And sometimes hiring managers say, okay, this is great, but I'm really looking for something a little bit different, and just being able to kind of shift, ask more questions, and then refine the search if you need to do that. One of the biggest things I love are just people who are real go-getters. So people that just kind of jump in, right? Don't be, right. Sometimes we're going to make mistakes, but that's a part of life and that's a part of learning. And if you do make a mistake, that's okay. We all make mistakes, just correct and keep pushing. So I like to see that. I like to see, some initiatives. I have one recruiter actually that's new that joined about 3 months ago, and she's always sending me articles on, just things that are happening in the industry, and I love it. So sometimes just really just taking control of your own learnings and just going out there and doing research. And she'll just send me things that are statistics like, hey, a lot of folks from underrepresented groups are generally having 3 to 5 years of experience out there. And I'm like, really? Or she sent me a link for a site called justicemap.org that shows you where all the different demographics live in the country. But she's just, on top of that stuff, where she'll say, hey, I saw this webinar and I learned this today, and she'll just share it. love that she's staying on top of what's happening in the industry.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I know that one of the, I've talked to other recruiters too, just to like get a feel for the industry a little bit more. And I know that one of the issues is, like you said, you're negotiating with the hiring manager too to kind of, get the role tailored to something that you can actually get in. Is that sometimes an issue when it comes to, as the recruiter, are you responsible for like, picking the right people? Is it like if someone doesn't make it through all the way, is that kind of on you? Like, you know,
Well,
oh,
it is on us because it's our job. But what we do is we just continue providing hiring managers with a pipeline of candidates until they find the right one. And it's not like we're not interviewing 20 people. We're really able to narrow it down to maybe like 4 people that make it to a certain stage. And then the hiring manager is typically able to choose from there. And then another thing that we do, if um, we have candidates that are great, but maybe they're not the right fit for that hiring manager, but we've got similar positions, and we'll go ahead and share those profiles with other hiring managers. So we really are advocates for our candidates. And when I talk with my candidates, I have honest conversations with them. Um, if someone doesn't get the job, I will tell them as best that I can why not, but I'll also give them some type of counsel on, hey, this is where you could possibly where you would have room to. This is the gap in what you didn't have for this specific role, but I encourage you to do X, Y, Z, and these are some things that you can do to get that skill set.
right. Yeah. And even though I'm new in my career, like I'm still, in college, but I feel like I've been on like 7,000 interviews by now, just because I find it a really fun process. And I know that's kind of weird. Most people are like they don't want to do interviews nerve-wracking, but I always find it really fun. But yeah, thank you. That's a lot of great information.
You're welcome.
Could I possibly maybe reach out to you about that
Yes,
contract?
please do. I was hoping you would. Please.
Yeah. And
When do you graduate?
I graduate in December, so I have
Okay.
so I have the summer, and then
I would
December
love
would
to
be
talk to
my
you.
last
Let's
semester.
talk.
Awesome. Should I can find your LinkedIn
You
or
can
maybe
find me on
an
LinkedIn.
email now?
Absolutely. And I'll drop my email address in the chat.
Oh, I want to.
Congrats.
Hey, thanks. I'll reach out and also connect on LinkedIn too. I'm gonna have you linked up here. Thank you. And then Mia, I wanted to ask because you know you said that right now you are a communications manager,
Communication specialist,
and
yeah.
before you were a community outreach specialist or manager. And what did that really involve for you? Because right now I'm working pretty closely with the VR/AR Association, which is just virtual reality and augmented reality, and my role there is like community development manager, but it's really just something I made up and just like doing my own thing. So I'm interested to know what a real community or communications even person does.
Well, during my time as a communications outreach specialist, I just kind of dubbed myself as a professional hype woman. So most of my job was strictly internal. So I produced a lot of internal content. I was able to really combine my film background with my like production skills, project management skills, and a whole melody of other good things. So I was able to use that to really build more of our communities internally together, help break down those silos. There are so many of us. I'm based in the San Diego office. We have a really big building. So there are lots of different groups maybe working on the same game, but might not know what each other is doing. So I really made it a mission to put a spotlight on people, that other folks know, like, hey, did you know that QA is doing this? Or do you know that tools and tech, they're actually working on this right now? So little things like that to just get folks energized about the company that we work in, and just to celebrate more folks. So if they saw them down the hall, they would start to make that connection. So kind of being like a hype woman and like a connector. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. That's really cool. What kind of, brought you to doing that? Because I know that, I've had a few internships, and what I've usually done is I'll just like find a way to make a part of it being me, like bringing in like people from the industry and kind of having a little like session with the other interns of like a Q&A, or like an interview of like how to break into the industry and stuff like that. So I guess for me, a part of that was really like enjoying like connecting people, I guess, because I'm not the only one who has places to go, or things that I want to see, or things that I want to make happen and stuff. So that's really cool.
Yeah. So I think like for me, it was weird enough. It was my film background that kind of helped me put me out there with folks. I'm going around the office asking people, hey, do you want to be interviewed? And not a lot of people want to. And so I kind of what, Kira mentioned, like having the skill of being a people person, understanding, for me, it was understanding how to get people to come out of their shell a little bit, just solely for the purpose of them bragging on themselves, or just me saying like, hey, this is what our team did. And then making sure that they were well represented within our final product. So that was kind of the weird portion of it was, like, I don't know how to program. I don't know any like C++ or any of that. Like my entry has just been kind of like through connections, being a connector, and then using my talents to create something art in an artistic way or technical way that represents as a positive representation of the company. So I've done a lot of, as a video editor, I started off doing a lot of videos for like marketing. I used to do video, edit the cutscenes for some of our games, or help the visual arts team with that. And I realized that I was sort of meeting a lot of people, and lots of people were doing lots of great things. And I was like, how come we aren't? Let's make this a bigger deal. And so I was part of this internal communications team where we were able to really select folks. We went to the different offices, to the different studios too, and to just really just hype people up. Because I just, you put so much work and lots of people love what they do. And I think, it should be celebrated. So we should definitely celebrate the amazing things that people are doing or working on or learning. Lots of people are learning. And then use that as a tool to learn from each other. So maybe that, if you're in a different department, but you see this really cool video about, hey, like that's looks like something like I might want to do one day, then, like making that connection from yourself to that person in the video or that team, and then starting off on a whole new journey.
That's cool. Yeah, it sounds like you kind of made your own like perfect role, like with the film and then communications. That's really cool, because I feel like a lot of people would benefit from doing that, because like me, I have so many interests, is like making like a role that's perfect for me. It's like that's like the dream.
One of the best pieces of advice, and I've said this in probably every interview, every like, because it's so true. when I was a kid, like my mom put my brother and I in this camp specifically to learn soft skills, business skills. So we learned how to like give a firm handshake. Like to this day, I crush people's hands because I followed through with that so much. Giving direct eye contact or writing a good resume, making sure you have a positive social media preference, learning how to be assertive versus passive or passive aggressive. And there is this professor at this university who came to us, and the one thing he told us that I'll never forget is you don't want a job, you want a career. And maybe the career you want doesn't even exist because you have to go out there and create it. So that was, and then when you're like 12, you're like, yeah, let's create our careers. And then you're like 20, like in your 20s, like, oh, how do we actually do that? So, and there's like no roadmap, right? Like everyone has kind of created their own career in some shape, way, or form. And for me, like you're totally right. I have definitely have had a habit of just sort of, trying to break as many barriers as I can and just sort of keep my ear to the ground and see like, hey, like what, and for me, my North Star is like, what do I want to do? Also, but like, what I'm going to do next is going to help me elevate myself to the next level. Like, what skills do I have that I want to increase, that I want to better? What new skills do I want to gain? What blind spots do I have? Another good way that I recommend on, bettering your learning development is sort of assessing like, hey, I might be really good at this, but maybe to get to this next level, there's something that I'm missing that I really need. So that's a skill that I should probably learn to insert that there. And, sometimes like sometimes I read this somewhere, like you'll just be doing your thing and you're not sure how it all connects until you look back on it and you see like, oh wow, the dots were connecting all along. And that's another piece of advice that I can give people is just like follow your gut, like follow your instincts. Like if there are these interests that you want to do, then you also have the power to combine them into the role that you want to be, that you want to see. And is that going to be difficult? Yeah, but that's going to make you like super keen and super strong in whatever industry, and then the gaming industry as well as you're going in. And I recommend that a lot because there is also a lot of freedom and a lot of pride in knowing like this is the role that you created, that people helped you create, and it was made possible. And maybe there'll be some folks that might tell you that it's not possible, and that's simply not true. So definitely, whatever interests you have, like take a wider look at all the things you're interested in, like make a list of goals, put that vision together, and just create something that's fantastic. Where you're like, all right, that's the job I want. Look, you and what Stina had mentioned, looking at different job descriptions, like pick like what like from those job descriptions like and create like what does the perfect job look for you. What skills does that job include? That way, if you ever need to pitch to someone, hey, like I know exactly what I want to work, what I want to do, and this is what my job looks like. So hopefully that's cool with recruiters, Kira. So but yeah.
Ladies, I just wanted to come in and say thank you. We'll be wrapping up in a few minutes. I'm Keisha Walker, founder and chairwoman of the Black Collegiate Gaming Association and Women Got Game. I thank you all for your time today, especially on a Saturday and a weekend. I appreciate being a part of history, especially with Women Got Game and what we're doing to create history for women of color and to diversify and bridge the gap and to get more women of color into the industry. Thank you so much. Your intel and input was amazing. To all of the young ladies who've been providing questions and have been courageous like Casimira, and I hope I'm saying your name correctly, and coming on video and engaging and interacting with these amazing women. I thank you. And so I appreciate everything. We're going to share this with our Discord group as well as across our social media and on our YouTube channel. And we'll be sending you a thank you email follow-up after this because we so appreciate you all. Enjoy the remaining part of this session. We thank you. And then we will see you all soon. And congratulations. We appreciate you and enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you, Keisha.
Thank you so much, both of you, for answering all of my questions, all 5,000 of them.
Thank you. And I think it's 5. Wow, I think we are. Yeah, I think we're just about time. We got 2 minutes, I think. If there's any other closing remarks that you and me, or I want to say, I just want to say thank you everyone for coming and for asking such lovely questions. And Kira, I know you put your information in the chat, so I will put my email in the chat as well.
I did, and we enjoyed chatting with you, and definitely we're available for any follow-up questions, or if you just want some personal guidance, we're here for you. We enjoyed being invited and being able to share our experience and knowledge with you, and hope to continue the relationship.
Yeah, everyone just keep following your North Star, keep doing what you need to do, and learning as much as you can. Wishing all of you the best of luck on your collegiate careers. As Kira said, please feel free to reach out to us. We're here, and we're happy to help.